Theater. Brought to you by DuPont, makers of better things for better living through chemistry. Nearly everything in our daily lives is improved by chemistry, from transportation to the clothes we wear. Chemistry helps bring us better food, makes our homes more beautiful, more comfortable, helps protect our health, and adds to the enjoyment of our leisure time. Now, tonight's story on the DuPont Theater.
Who's that? Don't ask me. Hey, half pint. Who do you think you are, Joe Loring? I swear he's liable to bust that bag wide open.
Sure himself. Ah, come on, nothing doing here.
Did it. Let me get my breath. We'll go.
Hey, Joe! Hey, Joe! Hey, Joe, you were terrific.
Great game, Joe.
You were great, Joe. What a game. Hey. Nice, Joe. You really showed him, man.
Gosh, isn't he wonderful?
Oh, the best date ever had.
Oh, Joe, you did it again, huh? Hey, Joe, you going to the big dance tonight?
No, I don't think so.
Why not? It's the big dance of the season.
Hey, Bradley, how are you?
Hey, good game.
Thanks. Thanks, old boy.
We want to see you a minute, Joe.
Sure. What's up? Social call or a here student council president, huh?
Well, that's about it, Joe. You know Steve Marlowe, sophomore class president, don't you?
I think I've seen you around. How are you, Steve?
Always wanted to meet you. I'm sorry it has to be this way.
This way? What way?
Well, Joe, you heard about Dewey Elton, didn't you?
You tell it. I never heard of him. Who's Dewey Elton?
You mean you don't know him?
No.
Well, we understood he was a friend of yours. That's how it is. Nobody seems to have known him. You sure you can't place him? Elton, Dewey Elton?
Misprint. Never knew any Deweys. No Eltons. Positively not.
No, the kid was bragging, probably. They do. Doggone it.
Hey, what's all this mystery? Who's Dewey Elton?
Oh, he was a sophomore, Joe. Quiet, kept to himself, a little guy. The day before yesterday, he went over to the gym all alone and started punching the bag. He dropped dead, Joe.
You mean just like that from punching a bag?
Just one of those things that doesn't happen, only it happened day before yesterday.
Well, it's like I said, I never heard of him. Sure sorry to hear about it. I guess you fellas are here for a collection. If you wait a sec, I'll get my wallet.
No, wait a minute. It's a little more complicated than that. You see, his mother's down here.
Yeah, sure.
She told Steve here she'd like to see her son's best friend. You see, this kid, this boy, was always writing home about his great pal, you, Joe.
Me?
The guy must have put an awful lot of stuff in letters. Dreamed it up, I suppose, to impress his family. Anyhow, you're the man she wants to see, Loring. She and the boy's sister are over in his rooms now. 415 Bower Place.
Wait a minute. Are you fellas suggesting that I go through with some kind of a farce or something? That I pretend to this boy's mother that I...
Well, look, Joe, we're just telling you how it is.
How it is? It seems that's what somebody ought to be telling Mrs. Elton. Like the fact I never knew her son.
Like the fact that her son, who just dropped dead, was a liar? You think somebody ought to waltz over there and tell her that?
Yeah, if need be.
Maybe so. Maybe you're right, Joe. I guess you'll have to figure it out for yourself, since you're the one to do the telling. Sorry, it's just one of those things. You do what you think's best. Right. We'll, leave it up to you.
All right. It's some mistake. He must have meant someone else, Mrs. Elton. Of course, if I knew he wanted to be friends, that is, if I'd even known who he was in the first place. I have to be honest with you, Mrs. Elton. There's no use lying to you. Your boy, Dewey, made it all up.
Hi, Joe.
Oh, hi, old
What
man.
you doing? Rehearsing a speech?
Yeah, sort of.
Well, don't worry. Anything old Joe Loring says will go over big.
Yeah, sure.
Upstairs. First door on the right.
Thank you. Are you Mrs. Elton?
Oh, you're Joe Loring, of course. We knew you'd come. Come here, please.
Thank you.
My daughter, Diane.
How do you do?
Oh, he's so like his picture, isn't he, Diane? Joe. May I call you Joe? I feel as if I know you almost as well as Dewey did.
As a matter of fact, Mrs. Elton, your son and I...
Words are so difficult at a time like this, aren't they? I'm no good at them myself. I think it's just best to blurt out what one's thinking.
Yes, I believe that's best.
So I'm going to come right out and say that I don't know what I'd do right now without you, Joe. I owe you so much.
No, you don't.
Oh, yes, I do. So much. Though I doubt you realize yourself what your friendship meant to my boy. Oh, Diane, dear, the letter's in my purse on the bed, I believe. Won't you sit down?
Thank you. Mrs. Elton, there's something I have to explain to you.
Yes, Joe.
In a campus as large as this, with so many students, so many different fraternities and classes. Well, you take your son Dewey, for instance. To begin with, he was a sophomore. I'm a senior.
Oh, I know what you're saying. I know. But the gap, the great gap that you covered was much more than that. Oh, heavens, don't I know my Dewey. Such a strange, serious boy. All wrapped up in his bugs and whatnot. And his botany business. To find a pal in someone like you with all your interests, your many friends, that really was a gap to bridge when... Oh, thank you, dear. Despite all the reasons, as I say, that you might not have become friends, you did. And for this, I am grateful that you recognized his need of that friendship.
But I didn't...
Well, it may not seem much to you. It takes so little to be kind. Yet kindness and understanding are very rare things. I'm going to tell you in his own words what it meant.
Whatever he wrote, Mrs.
Because
Elton...
not even you, his friend, knew how much he really thought of you, did you? Take this one letter, for instance. It's his first one of the term. Yes, this is the one. Well, the new term is underway. Same fellows, and best of all, Joe Loring is back. He worked all summer on a freighter to keep in shape. You have to admire that kind of determination. Well, I'll bet he spends hours in the gym every day. Dewey always did admire strength. This part I know by heart. And I can imagine it almost exactly as he tells it. I came back from chapel. Everybody was mobbing him, glad to see him back here at State again. I didn't think he saw me, and I wouldn't have intruded. But he broke away and came over to me and asked me about my summer. I felt pretty important. After all, he is all-American and a big man on campus. He laughs at the idea that he's a big wheel, but he is. He came over this evening and we played the Archduke Trio on my player. It's one of his favorites, too. Lots of love to you all, your loving son, Dewey. I know that the love of music is a great bond between people, but how perceptive of you to have discovered that you had this in common. How did you?
Music meant a great deal to Dewey.
Yes. How did you meet Dewey, Joe?
Why, like I met most freshmen and sophomores, it was after a game. He came up and talked to me about the game.
Of course. Remember, Diane? He told us about that last summer.
He said he asked for your autograph.
Oh?
Don't you remember?
Yes, of course I do.
It seemed so out of character for Dewey. But then Dewey was such... Excuse me. I can't help going on about him. It sort of keeps him alive for a little while yet. That's part of why I'm so grateful to you, Joe, that I can talk to you about Dewey. Because you understood him, didn't you, Joe?
Yes, I think I do.
Mother, hadn't you better start packing Dewey's things?
Oh, yes, of course. There's a great deal to do. You will join us at the chapel, won't you, Joe?
Yes, ma'am, of course.
Service is at 4:30. I don't imagine there'll be more than a handful of us.
You don't have to, you know.
I don't have to what?
You don't have to go to the chapel with us, and you don't have to pretend anymore, and you can stop right now standing around taking bows for something you never did.
Now, please, Miss
You
Elton.
heard Dewey Elton's mother. She's soft and sweet and gullible. Well, now listen to his sister. We don't want your pity, and we don't need your condescending act. Just get out of here, you football hero.
All right, but I want...
Just get out and don't come back.
Diane? What? Has he gone?
Yes, he has.
Well, whatever's the matter, dear? You seem upset.
I'm not upset. I'm furious and I'm humiliated.
Why? What happened?
Oh, Mother, didn't you see what that boy Joe Loring is doing?
Why, he's nothing but kind and understanding. I hope you didn't say anything unkind to him.
Mother, he's just
Darling, this is a very trying time for both of us. If you said anything to hurt him, I hope he won't hold it against us. He was such a comfort to me. Just to have him here to talk to.
Okay, Mother. You're right.
We'll return to our play right after this message from DuPont. Here's a young lady with 2 television sets. They're identical in all but one respect. When she turns them on, only one set gets a picture. And you know why? Here's the difference. television phosphor, a product of DuPont chemistry. It's used to coat the inside of the picture tube to change the electrical impulses into a picture you can see. Without this coating of phosphor, you couldn't get a picture on your television set. And making phosphor pure enough for this purpose is an achievement of DuPont research. Television is only one of the many achievements of the electric and electronics industries where products of chemical science play a vital part. This teamwork has brought us a steady stream of wonderful lighting devices and home appliances to help us live better. For instance, from DuPont chemistry come many contributions. From plastic to the safe, efficient cooling agent in freezers, refrigerators, and so forth. Many new appliance ideas are still in the laboratory stage. It takes time and an enormous investment in research and development to bring them to you. Let's look into the future. Here's one that's still in the laboratory stage, but a real possibility. Flat-screen television sets. They'll take up little space and look attractive in any room. And here's what will help make flat-screen television possible. Tiny transistors and rectifiers, which replace bulkier equipment. One of the materials used in transistors and rectifiers is DuPont hyper-pure silicon, which is also used in solar batteries. These solar batteries convert energy from the sun directly into current, which powers such things as this portable radio. I'm sure you'll agree that such developments as these are good and sufficient reason for the special attention the electric and electronic industries are getting this week, National Electrical Week. But I've been showing them to you for another reason, to illustrate the vital role that chemistry plays in making these developments possible. Take the transistor, for example. It uses far less power than the old-fashioned vacuum tube, generates far less heat, and takes up only a fraction of the space. New uses are being found for transistors almost every day. DuPont makes silicon so pure that impurities are about equivalent to 1 grain of sugar in a ton. So you see, when you live better electrically, you also live better chemically because of the teamwork between the electrical and chemical industries. Teamwork that brings you so many of DuPont's better things for better living through chemistry. And now, back to the DuPont Theater.
I thought it was my mother.
Isn't your mother here?
No, she's gone on ahead to the chapel.
It's only 4.
Well, she told me to tell you that she wanted to be alone a few minutes before the service.
Oh. And I guess I'll see her there. Or, did you tell her? I'm glad.
I thought you would be. Heroes love their pedestals, don't they?
Now, look here, Miss Elton. I don't like what you're saying.
Why? Because it's the truth?
Not entirely. You don't understand.
Oh, skip my understanding, Mr. Loring. Just look me in the eye and tell me you ever spoke so much as 2 words to my brother Dewey. That's what I mean.
Believe me, I never meant to get into this. Even before I ever met your mother, I was going to tell her the truth, only...
Only you felt sorry for her. You hated to hurt her feelings. Is that it?
Yes, something like that.
Well, you listen to me, Joe Loring. Dewey Elton's mother has nothing to be pitied for. My brother was twice the man you are.
I'm sure he was a fine person.
He was fine. He had more feeling in his little finger for a measly old beetle than a whole grandstand of your cheering idiot fans has for you. And what he knew and understood of music. You came to listen to the Archduke Trio with him. You, the great music lover, I'll bet. Well, my mother's going to give you all of Dewey's fine records.
Oh, no. I couldn't accept them.
Oh, yes, you will. You'll have to. Otherwise, you'll ruin your whole smug, hypocritical act.
It just so happens
It just so happens that you're a football hero. And a football hero, that's the greatest, isn't it?
No, of course not.
Oh, don't deny it. Everybody knows a football hero's tops. Even my brother knew that. Only what Dewey didn't seem to understand is that people like you don't really make friends with anyone, do you?
I think I do.
Oh, no, not really. You're too high on the pedestal. People stop treating you like a human being, so you forget how to be one. You just act at it.
Well, at least you know that.
Could I miss it? My mother was just too upset to notice. It's just a big act. You're the big, popular man of the campus making the grand gesture. Only it's not for Dewey. Nothing's really for Dewey.
All right.
Oh, let me go.
All right, you've had your say. Now, let me do some talking. I'll tell you how I met your brother. I wasn't lying to your mother. Probably was after a football game. Chances are he was one of a dozen guys shoving a program at me to autograph it. And chances are I scribbled on it and shoved it right back at him. And chances are I turned my back on him when he said something. And considering the kind of guy he seems to have been, it probably made him feel like 2 cents. Or worse, because it takes nerve for a guy like that to shove into a crowd anyway. All right. Did you ever think what it's like to be on the receiving end with people pushing at you, pulling at you till you don't see anyone but faces and hear nothing but a chorus of voices saying, "Hi, Joe, my old pal, my old buddy," as if they'd known you all your life? You don't know any of those people, and they don't even want to know you. They just want to be seen with Joe Loyne, the All-American. Yeah. And you try to tell them that maybe you got a toothache. Or maybe that you're worried about your kid sister's marriage. Or maybe that you've even been maybe thinking about something like, is there an afterlife? Anything like that about the real Joe Loring inside. They think you were nuts. All they want to hear about is, sure, we're going to win the game next week. All right, so your brother wasn't like that. But how was I supposed to know that? I did not get to know your brother, and I am sorry. Now, what do you want me to do about it? I did the only thing I knew to do.
All this?
It's not exactly customary at a time like this. They're singing Gaudium Zigato, our alma mater song. They thought Dewey might like it.
But all those people. Dewey never had that many friends. You did this. You arranged it all.
Yes. Now, you listen to me, Diane Elton. In the last few hours, I've talked to a lot of people. The big wheels in the music department who should have known your brother, but they didn't. Members of the Botanical Society who thought they knew his name, but they weren't sure. Fellas in his own dormitory, and you have to believe this. They're not all callous or disinterested as you think. They feel sick about all this, about how late they are coming to know a fellow collegeman. I thought that if they'd known Dewey the way I've come to know him today, well, they're not singing because I ask them to. They're singing because they want to. It's for Dewey.
I don't know what to say.
Your mother's waiting for you in the chapel. I'm going along with the fellas.
Joe?
Oh?
I'm sorry. Didn't you hear me come in?
No, I didn't.
Since the service, I've been looking everywhere for you. I just about given up when somebody said he saw you headed this way. You look so strange.
Yeah, I've been thinking.
Was it here?
That's what they tell me. I wish I'd known, Dewey.
Look, I came to say something, and I will say it, but could we...
Oh, sure. Let's go outside.
You know, I hated you this afternoon when you came up to Dewey's room. I hated how tall you were and how muscular, how sure of yourself.
Sure of myself.
I hated you because on your way up the stairs, I heard somebody call out first door to the right. Oh, Mother didn't hear it, but... Well, I did, and I knew it meant you'd never been in Dewey's room before.
Okay, so you know.
No, now, wait. That's all different. I want to tell you that even though you didn't know him, I'm glad Dewey knew you. Because he did, you know. He saw what I couldn't see. That you really are a hero. You always will be.
Oh, come on now,
Now, please,
Diana.
don't stop me. I've got to say this all at once. I've always hated heroes. It was so stupid of me. People like Dewey, all of us, we need some kind of hero. I was so wrong about you.
You were wrong about the music.
The music?
Sit down. Remember this afternoon you told me I couldn't enjoy the Archduke Trio? I was brought up on music, good music.
You were?
Yeah. My father's a musician. And he's a lot like your brother Dewey was. He plays second violin in a chamber music group a couple nights a week, and then during the day he works in a bank. And he's always been happy with what he's had. But I wanted something better for myself. I wanted to be different. And I guess I am. But now my dad and I, we don't have too much in common anymore. And after today, after getting to know your brother better, I got to thinking maybe I'm making the same mistake with him I made with Dewey. Not giving him friendship that he needs. So I decided to ask him to the game next week. I never thought he cared much for football, but he might be pleased if I asked him. He might even come.
I'm sure he would. Do you know that I've never seen a football game?
You haven't? Well, you wouldn't care much for it anyway.
Well, probably not. Well, I guess this is goodbye.
Diane, I don't suppose you could use a ticket to the game on the 15th.
Oh, I don't suppose. I wouldn't just love it.
You would? Well, the odds are against their winning. They're figured a couple of touchdowns ahead of us. I might not look very good. I hope it won't matter to you.
It won't matter at all.
Good. Could I have your address? I mean to send you the ticket.
Don W. Sharp, Warren Lewis production. Next week on the DuPont Theater, fate throws a family man into the midst of a murder mystery as Dan Duryea plays a new kind of role in The Frightened Witness. Brought to you by the DuPont Company of Wilmington, Delaware, makers of better things for better living through chemistry.